Welcome, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Stephanie Rublitz, and I am here with another refashion as part of my 1-year challenge to reface my Frumpy Mom wardrobe. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Today we're talking about maternity clothes. I have 2 shirts here that are way too big on me, and I want at least one of them to fit me well. I actually don't really care for this pattern, but I think that it would be like a cool accent color, and I thought maybe we could use it in some color blocking. On this shirt, maybe lengthen the arms, since long sleeves never seem to fit me. I kind of just like pretend like long sleeves don't exist for the most part, and that like everything's supposed to be a 3/4 length sleeve because that's where they fall on me. But hey, it would be nice to actually have a long sleeve shirt. So that's what we're going to do today. Isn't it funny that when you become a parent, the last like serious outlay of cash that you're gonna spend on your own wardrobe for perhaps the next 18 to 20 years, if we're being honest, is for clothes that you only really need for like 6 months. Maybe some pieces like hold on for a year or whatever because they're comfy, but they don't fit you and they're bulky and whatever. So yeah, I need these clothes to keep working for me and not have such a short life expectancy in my wardrobe. And for the most part, unless like I just have not had time to do laundry, they pretty much just sit in the back of my closet because it hurts to get rid of all the clothes that I spent so much money on. So yeah, we're gonna take these 2 shirts, we're gonna do some color blocking, we're gonna make them into 1 shirt, and it should be fun. First, I'm going to take my burgundy shirt, which is the one that I'm going to keep. And I'm going to lay out the sleeves, and it was the weirdest thing. So one of the sleeves was actually longer than the other one. I don't know if I did something to it when I was wearing it or if it came to me originally, but I checked and rechecked, and yeah, it actually was longer on one sleeve. I never really noticed it when I wore it. Maybe just because one of my arms is longer, I don't know. So I'm just cutting off a cuff of that sleeve at no particular measurement. I just, wherever I thought it looked good. And I'm going to cut out a section from the other sleeve. Now, hindsight being what it is, if I would have just like cut a higher up section where the sleeve was wider, I could have just taken a pair of scissors or my rotary cutter and sliced the seam off of this instead of having to sit there and pick at it, but I didn't think of that until I was done picking. Next, I'm going to open up the seam on the sleeves of the burgundy shirt just a little bit. That's going to help me sew the color blocked new sleeves on later on. So you can just see there's about 1 inch that I've opened up at the very end. And then I also use my stitch ripper to remove the pocket that's on the front of that shirt. And I'm going to replace the pocket as well, just so that it sort of, it makes the fact that there's a color block in the sleeve look a little bit more intentional, I think. So like it was always supposed to be that way. I'm going to cut the new pocket out of the bottom of the other shirt that I'm not keeping, and the reason I'm doing that is I want the hem from the bottom of the shirt to be the top hem on the pocket. It'll just save me a step. So I'm cutting that out now, and I'm accounting for seam allowance while I'm cutting it out. There is seam allowance on that pocket, but it's all folded behind from being sewn, and I just didn't feel like laying it out and ironing it when I can just add that with a ruler. Now I take my quilting ruler and I put it inside the shirt when I place the pocket on, and that's just so that I can bounce my pins off of my ruler and not accidentally pin the front and the back of my shirt together, which will just be an extra step to have to fix later. Then I stitched that pocket on with a top stitch, and I have no idea what happened to that footage. Here I am just putting some pins in to see how much I have to take the sides of the shirt in, and I ended up having to take in about 4 inches on either side, and I measured that just to make sure, because sometimes when you're pinning stuff on yourself, it's easy to kind of get things a little bit wonky. So I did measure both sides to make sure that I was going to take an even amount off. If I would have had one side be 5 inches and one side be 3 inches, then I just would have split the difference and made both sides 4 inches. Next, I fold the shirt in half, and I'm going to cut on the line that I've made, giving a generous seam allowance. And I cut both sides at the same time just so that I don't have to worry about them not being the same. And then I'm going to use a overlocking stretch stitch to sew those sides up. I've also decreased the pressure on my presser foot. That just is going to help me sew this fabric without it getting warpy or funky looking. Just because it does have a fair bit of stretch to it, which I guess a lot of maternity clothes do. Now I'm going to take the color blocked chunks that I sliced off of the sleeves, and I'm going to pin them right sides together. I'll zip those through the machine quick. Putting right sides together, I'm going to pin the color block portion of the new sleeve onto the old sleeve, and this is where you'll see that it's really handy that I picked out a little bit of the seam on the edge of the sleeve. It just makes it so much easier to sew the new sleeve on. And then I sew up the side of the C. Then I sew the side of the C. Okay, I can't say this. I sew the side seam of the sleeve. Seriously, that took me like 10 takes. And then I top stitch the color blocking with a zigzag stretch just because I thought it would look cute, and also I want that seam to lay down really nicely, and it's such a small seam allowance that it really kind of wanted to stand up, so this just makes it lay down and look a lot nicer. Well, here we are. The shirt is done. The sleeves are actually long enough for me, and I really like the detail in them. I like that it ties in with the pocket, so it looks like it was always supposed to be here. and I'm really happy with it. Thank you so much for joining me with this tutorial. I hope it's inspired you to try something for yourself, and if you want to see more of them, hit subscribe, hit the little dingy bell, like the video, and we'll see you next week.